This evening, the team and I are going to be interviewing paranormal and cryptid investigator Tim Dills. He is with the NCI team, and we are going to be talking to him about his great experiences in the Appalachian Hills. So get ready for his mysterious and exciting adventures that are beyond the ordinary. Tim, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Miss Natalie. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and welcome to Beyond the Ordinary.
Thank you for having me on. I greatly appreciate it and have been looking forward to it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Tim, tell us a little bit about how you got started in the cryptid world.
Yes, ma'am. It actually started with a buddy of mine that moved in up above me and wanted me to start putting some hunting blinds and stuff on his uh, wife's family property. And we played a joke on his kids and made them think there's a Bigfoot up there. His kids were grown 20s and 30s. And we played a joke on them, and the joke backfired because it actually turned out to be Bigfoot's up there. So after playing the joke on them, nobody would believe us. But over time, they've had to come to accept it. So that's how I got started into it, and that was in 2008.
Now you had you're a bow hunter, aren't you, Tim? And you've been a hunter since you were 5 or 6. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I actually started following behind my dad through the woods, carrying the squirrels and stuff that he would shoot when I was about 5 years old.
Now you had a very interesting. It's my understanding you had a very interesting encounter with a Bigfoot. Could you tell us about that? The first time
Um,
you had an encounter.
yes, sir. The very first one I ever saw, I was going bow hunting. I was walking up the ridge, and it flattened out on top. So I was walking up the ridge to the flat spot, and as I was going up through there, a Bigfoot stepped out in front of me. It couldn't have been more than 20 feet away from me, and it took 5 big steps, standing upright, looked at me, dropped down to all fours, and took off. And I turned around to look to see if there was any more coming because it come out from behind a great big oak tree. And by the time I turned, looked for others and turned back around, it was completely out of sight. It covered 100 yards in just a few seconds.
Can you tell us, give us a description of what it looked like and how it
Um,
moved? I mean, it
uh,
must have been a profound moment for you.
it was, and my brain was trying to rationalize what I was seeing. I mean, there's, I could see it plain, but my brain's thinking, all right, now what is this? And when it dropped down, I noticed that its arms was much longer than its legs were. That it was almost looked like a hyena. Long arms in front, short in the back, and in my mind, I'm still thinking, all right, is there more of them? All I've got's this bow, and I didn't get a real good look at its face except when it turned, and I just glanced at that, And when I realized what I was looking at, I started looking to see if there was more of them. And but the best I could remember it looking, it was just like the ones on the Patterson film. Had the head that come up to a point, and face covered in hair, except around its eyes and its nose, and around the mouth. I didn't honestly didn't look. I just looked at head and eyes. I didn't really pay that much attention to what its mouth looked like.
When you looked
Wow,
at its
that's
eyes, what detail do you remember about its eyes?
Big and dark. There was no white showing around them. Nothing on its body had any color except black, and that's the color that it was. It was black, and I mean um it's around its eyes and everything was black. Its eyes was black. I didn't see white like we've got. Everything was just real dark on it.
I have a question for you, Tim. I've seen some artist renderings done of Bigfoot creatures that people have seen. And what struck me was some of the creatures appeared to be very human like in the face, while others appeared to be more ape like in the face. How would you describe what you saw?
Um, the nose was its nose was pretty big and flat. Not like our noses. Um, and I don't know how to explain it. You know what I mean? It to me it didn't resemble like a gorilla that you would see in the zoo. It just didn't have that kind of feature. It did look more of the human type, except for huge. The eyes was big and the nose was big and sort of flared out.
Right. Do you think that they might have some sort of human-like intelligence? Have you observed that at all?
Actually, I think they're probably more intelligent than we are.
Oh,
Um,
really?
and the only reason I say that is for something to be in the woods and I've I've been in the woods a lot, and deer hunting, bear hunting, hog hunting, all that stuff is easy to outsmart. All you got to do is find out where they're going. These things I'm still working on trying to outsmart them. They know what trail cams are. We actually have a sequence of pictures of where one steps in front of the trail camera and blocks it out, while another one takes a raccoon out of one of our live traps. When we get followed, it ain't unusual to be flanked on each side and behind you, just sort of escorting you out. So they have extreme intelligence, and I honestly don't know how you, unless you had one captured, I don't know how you could actually measure it, because then we would only be able to measure it by our intelligence, which it could be even smarter than what we are.
so. Have you experienced paranormal activity when you're out investigating?
Um, I have, after talking to Greg, I realized that the lights that I was seeing was actually orbs. And when we was at Land Between the Lakes, I had the back of my coat pulled, and I'm new to this paranormal stuff, and we're standing in a grave on the edge of a graveyard, and nobody's behind me, and all of a sudden I get tugged backwards enough to make me have to gain my balance. So, yeah, I'm trying to get used to that part. Bigfoot's no problem. I can handle that, but when something comes at you that you can't see, all you can do is just stand there and say, "Oh well."
Hey,
So you
Tim,
re- Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Tim, I was going to ask, have you ever experienced any kind of infrasound, like headache, upset stomach, or anything kind of like that?
The last one that I physically saw was on December the 1st in 2022. And I don't know if it was infrasound. I honestly don't know what happened. I went into my research area and changed my stuff out. And I was deer hunting at the time, and I come out and was going to hunt till dark. And I'd got through reading my Bible on my phone, and when I put it up, I felt like something was watching me. And I turned around behind me, and up on the ridge, maybe 120 yards from me, was a Bigfoot standing there. I could see from its, let's see, it was standing that way. So it would have been, its right shoulder was behind the tree, and the rest of it I could see. And for a split second, it seemed like everything just zoomed in. And I don't know if I got hit with infrasound. I honestly don't know what it was, but I could see everything up close. And then just about as fast as it happened, it quit. And I thought, well, I tried to get my phone out, and I couldn't get my phone to zoom it in. I'd just gotten an iPhone. So I laid it down, and I was going to take the scope on my rifle and get a good look at its head and face and all that stuff. And as soon as because I'm watching it over my shoulders, and as soon as I put my hand on my gun, it stepped behind the tree, and only its left shoulder was out. And it after I did that, when I acted like I wasn't watching it no more, it dropped down to all fours and army crawled back across the ridge. So I don't know if that was it for sound. Me and one of my buddies was in the same area, and we was leaving that day, and I heard something, and it sounded, I thought he'd stumped his toe on the rock in the grass, because the grass was up pretty high. And I turned around to see if he'd fell or anything, and he was holding the side of his head. And he said something just blasted right by his ear, and almost the force of it, almost knocked him down, just the pressure off of it. So I don't know if he got hit with infrasound or what, but I've not, other than the thing being up close, I've not that I know of. But some of my friends have. They've got sick and disoriented and that kind of stuff.
Now you had a sighting I was particularly interested in Cades Cove. Now Cades Cove is a very famous area around here. Lots of people go there. Uh, and can you tell us what happened in Cades Cove? Because I think and your interaction with tourists in Cades Cove, Tim.
Yes, sir. We was going around through there, and the same thing happened to my buddy Dwight Campbell. He was in the vehicle with me, and the same thing happened to him. The up close, seeing the Bigfoot up close, and he said it just went behind a blowed up tree. So we pulled over, and I got my thermal binoculars out, and I'm guessing that the blowed over tree was probably between 500 and 600 yards. And my thermal will pick up to 1,800 yards. So I got my thermal binoculars out, and it's the daytime. And and you could see its elbow come out every once in a while, on its shoulder, and every once in a while its head would come out from behind the root ball that was blowed up. And we're standing there looking at it, and my truck I had at the time was just completely covered in Bigfoot stuff. And this woman, and we'd been watching it for probably 15, 20 minutes. And this woman pulls up, and she said, "Have you ever seen one of those things in here?" And we said, "Yes, ma'am, we're watching one right now." She jumped in her car, and anybody that been to Cates Cove, you're supposed to go like 4 or 5 miles an hour. She didn't slow down.
Yeah,
I mean, she got
she
out of
just
there.
went zooming off.
She went zooming off, and I was going to let her use my binoculars and look, but as soon as I said, "Yes, ma'am, there's one right there," she didn't say nothing else. She just jumped in and took off.
That was it. Now, one last question for me about this, if I may, because before I move on to the others, because you brought out, Natalie was asking about the paranormal, Melissa was asking about the shape of it, Jamie was asking about the infrasound. Now, what I think those questions beg is, bearing in mind your experience, is there any commonality between these creatures that you've seen in terms of either physical or paranormal phenomenon? So is there anything about these things that is common or are they different in some way?
Um, I honestly think that it's pretty common because we get reports from all over the country,
Mm.
and it amazes me the similarities between them. The habits that they do, maybe like messing with trail cameras. They love to mess with trail cameras. They love to
I know it's frustrating as heck.
they love to on their trails going in to where we hunt at and stuff, even though it's my research area. I also hunt it, and they will come in and put brush and stuff across it. They actually carried in a tree and put across my trail. And then you hear people in Pennsylvania or Michigan, them doing the same things. The way they like to throw rocks to get your attention, or certain things like that. It seems like they do it everywhere.
You mentioned that you had an experience there at the LBL when you was there filming with us. Um, you also mentioned that you could hear these Bigfoots paralleling you when you're coming out of certain areas. Um, and you didn't mention that you were able to see the Bigfoots as they were paralleling you, but you could hear them.
Mhm.
Now, do you think it's possible that what actually tugged you on on the back was not necessarily paranormal, not necessarily a ghost, but what if Bigfoot has some of these abilities that would uh, preclude humans from being able to see them? Some people call it cloaking. I don't necessarily think it's cloaking. I think it's something else, but nevertheless, you still can't see them. Um, what do you think about that being a possibility of what happened to you there at the OBL?
If you would have asked me that a few years ago, I'd have said, "Oh, okay," and just bless your heart. You know what I mean? But
That's a very southern expression, isn't that? Bless your heart. I've learned that. I've
Yeah,
learned what that means.
that
yeah,
that that means you're a little special,
Yeah.
if you know what I mean.
it's a
So,
blanket bless your heart. Just blanket bless your heart and you're fine.
Don't start rapping again, Natalie. You know how
I'm
that
not going to start rapping, I promise. That would be terrible. Tim would leave. Melissa will be like, I'm done. I'm done with these people.
goes. Mr. Going to sit by the fire. Sorry, let's go back. Let's go back to Tim's question. Just an opportunity to tease Natalie. I had to do that.
Yeah,
I'm
that's all
better
right.
now, Tim. Carry on.
Okay.
um, but now it wouldn't surprise me. Um, I'll give you an example. I've never seen the glowing eyes. This year, after my team done the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival, I took them to where we got bluff charged one time, and we were surrounded on each side. One of the guys saw blue eyes, and I don't know that much about dogmen and all that stuff. And they said, well, that could have been a dogman. We didn't have our pistols or nothing with us because we'd been at the festival. So they said, we better go back to the truck. So we get to walking out the road, and I look up into the woods, and I've hunted it, and I know there's nothing around there. And I see orange eyes about. Both of them together look like it was about like that. Um, and I mean, my light ain't shining on them or nothing. They're just glowing orange. And I told the guys where it was at, and I would put my headlamp on it when I could get my headlamp just right. It would either turn its head or close its eyes or do something. And then when I would move my headlamp off of it, it would turn around and start watching us again. So if you'd have told me that 5 years ago, yeah, okay, all right, but I try to keep an open mind because I realize that there's too much stuff going on that I don't know. So when people tell me their encounters, I take them to heart. I wasn't there, so and I've seen and heard stuff that other people wouldn't believe. So, but I am learning real quick that there's a lot more to them than what people think they are.
Absolutely. Now, I know a lot of people, when they experience a Bigfoot encounter, they tend to see orbs, or they see an orb and it then manifests possibly into a Bigfoot or another creature. Have you ever experienced orbs out in your investigations?
Yes, ma'am, I actually have. The place that I'll be going hunting in the morning, I never saw no Bigfoot sign there whatsoever. And then one evening when I was leaving hunting, it was dark enough for me to use my flashlight. And I go down and I stop and rest for just a minute. And I look at the way I had to go out and I see what looks like a dull orange flashlight moving around, but you could tell it was moving intelligently, almost like it was looking for something. And I thought, well, what's my buddy doing? Because we just bought these brand new flashlights. He ought to have a bright light like I've got. And so I turned mine on and shined it down towards where the other light was, and it immediately went out. So I thought, well, he's waiting on me. So I got down there and he's not there. And I whistled for him. I thought he's going to try to scare me. So I stand there and let you might as well come on out. I ain't falling for it. Well, he never does come on out. And I said, well, I'm going on the truck anyway. And I get down there and my truck ain't even there. He ain't even come back to get me yet. And he gets there to me and I get my stuff loaded up and we start to leave. And I tell him what I saw. And he said, you ain't going to believe this. He said, but I saw an orange ball of light come from below the road up into the center of the road and stop. And then it went up into where I was at. And that was just a few minutes, would have been just about the time that I saw it. And after that, I started noticing Bigfoot sign there. So, I mean, it seems to me like one and one makes two. You know what I mean? It's awful funny that there was no sign there whatsoever until the I saw the orb, and then the Bigfoot stuff started up.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that they do go hand in hand. In my first film, I was filming an orb, or we were filming an orb, and what we didn't see between us and the orb was a Bigfoot that was crawling between us. So, and we got all this on one video, and it was amazing how close that Bigfoot was to us, and we never saw it.
Mm.
So, yeah, I do think that they do go hand in hand, and actually, I'm of the belief now that they have an ability that they may be able to transform themselves into energy, and they possibly are not from here. I've seen some information recently that has solidified my belief that they're more probably more of an interdimensional being rather than from here.
So Greg's made that statement. So it begs the question, Tim. And maybe you can tie it in with being the fact that you're a very religious man as well. But what do you think they are, Tim? All of us would have different opinions, with variances around. There'll be some commonality, but there'll be some differences here, and that's all good. Now, I think that's healthy. But what do you think they are, Tim?
Well, I've thought a lot about where in the Bible it talks about in the last days that the brute beast will come out of the wilderness and torment men. And that if you get to reading in Revelations, it's talking about the men that has taken the mark of the beast, that they will come out and torment them. And I've often wondered, is the Dogmen and the Bigfoot's going to be part of what does that? I mean, especially, like Greg talking about them interdimensional, he can send them here in my opinion, whatever they are, God created it so he can do with them what he wants to. You know what I mean? And has he got them here for a specific reason? I mean, I don't know. That's one of them things that is just sort of my opinion, and but we know how opinions are.
True enough. I have a two-part question, and it's way 180 degrees from what we were just talking about. So, completely different tack here. The first part is, um, do you take female researchers out with you? And the second part is, if and when you do take female researchers out with you, do you notice an increase or a decrease in activity when that happens?
I do. I will take anybody that wants to go. But I do know that there's one particular Bigfoot. I've got a young lady that likes to go with me. Her name is Rachel, and she named that Bigfoot Woody after Woody Woodpecker because it will do the woodpecker sounds and follow us from point A to point B, and then it stops. And then when we get back to that point, it'll follow us from point B back to point A and stop. And whenever she's there, it seems to really like to cut up when she's there.
Hmm. Interesting.
That's
But
cool.
other than that, I really can't think of, nothing. It's not like it tenfold,
Hmm.
more or less, because I usually have guys and gals and all of that stuff, unless it's just me and Rachel.
Mhm. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, having female researchers with you, I think we had some really good experiences in LBL, and no, I think that's a great question. Great question.
Tim, in all of your adventures, have you ever heard them talk?
Yeah, actually, I heard them talk back and forth to each other um, on two different occasions in the same week. When I first got into this, I was going to be the one that killed it and put it on the table. I mean, I know, and I'm not bragging, so please don't think I've got the big head. But I'm good at hunting. I'm good at hunting. I'm good at fishing. And I told my buddy, I said, they'll make a mistake. I'll kill one. We'll put it on the table, and then that ends the debate of what they are. Are they real? Are they not? And I happened to kill a deer up there in my hunting stand, and the week before, and Tuesday of the following week, this would have been in 2011, I think it was. Yeah, pretty sure it was in 2011. Um, Sitting there, it gets down when the deer should start moving, and I hear what I thought to begin with was two people talking. And I kept listening, and I don't have the best hearing in the world, but I could hear them fine. It's just that the words they was saying didn't make a lot of sense. It wasn't like, "He'll be sitting over there, we better sit here till dark." It wasn't like that. It was more Native American with monkey gibberish thrown in on it. The first evening I called him, didn't call him, I texted my buddy and I said, "Somebody's on your property." And he said, "Well, sit down and just stay there until it gets dark because they're going to have to turn their lights on to leave." So we sat till way after dark, no lights come on. Thursday of the same week, it done it again about the same time, about a quarter till 5. And this is up in December, so it would have been getting, dusky dark. And the same thing, two of them sitting there talking back and forth. And then that's when we realized there's nobody coming in. There's no way that they could have got by us. So we just sort of put two and two together because that seemed to be where we had a lot of encounters was around where my deer stand was.
Huh. So, so in all of your experiences, and I know we have seen some periodically, have you ever seen a portal open up during your investigations?
No, I've not. I would
Okay.
love to, but
Yeah.
but put that on the bucket list, I guess. But so far, I've not.
Okay. And what about Dogman? Have you ever seen a Dogman before?
Um, I have found their tracks. This year was the first year I have ever found dog tracks in any of my research areas, and we did find a good one. It was the big canine front part that had come back to look like a heel, and um, I've not seen a dog man. I've got friends that have in other research groups. Sasquatch, Sasquatch Recon. I'm in that group as well, and they have had dog man encounters. But so far, I've not, because if I did, I'd probably shoot till I run out of bullets and then scream like a little girl as I'm running away.
Could you just
So,
do your scream like a little girl for us now, please, Tim? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
There it is.
what I would it just building on Natalie's point and going back to what you said earlier. So what you said earlier was you your aspiration when you first started out was to shoot one because you were a good hunter. And I know you're a good hunter. I can tell just by conversations with you. You know what you're talking about. Now, said that was then. What about now? What do you want out of your research now? I know you enjoy it. I've been out with you, and so has everybody else here. We enjoy the camaraderie. But what do you want now, Tim?
I just honestly want to know two things. One, where they came from, where what they are. It don't matter if they're half human, half ape, whatever. I just want to know that, and I also want to know. And this is the one that drives me crazy. Well, I guess I got three. Number two is, how do they keep finding that trigger eye on my cameras and keep poking it out without me getting a picture?
Yeah, I relate to that. I relate to that so much, so much.
And
Because we research some of the same areas, and I've got every animal I want to have on trail camera except one, and you know what it is. Yeah, call it an animal. Carry on. Sorry, forgive me.
and the third one, this one, I heard it. Um, I think it was this year. Yeah, it was this year. But we heard a metallic sound. I've got one on my audio recorder,
Yeah,
and that sounds like two hammerheads hitting at 2:30 in the
yeah.
morning, just a katink. And then me and George Lunsford was going up to one of my main areas. We start in, we hear a metallic sound, sounds like somebody's beating a wooden spoon on the bottom of a aluminum pot. And we go on in. When we come out, it's moved from the right side over to the left side.
That's
And
fascinating. I love
yeah,
that. I didn't know you were going to say that because I didn't know you were going to say that because we've discussed this. We've discussed this. I don't want to give too much away. I'll let Greg give it away if he wants to in a minute. But one of the things that I've heard just before weird happens, I'm bleeping that out myself, Greg. Do not worry. Weird. There you go. Is a strange metallic sound
mhm,
when none there's no capacity for anything to have a metallic sound. I mean, it's happened a few times, and it got to the stage where I hear that sound, and I'm like, "Oh, what's going to happen next?" And it doesn't make sense because there
mhm,
is nothing metal. It can be miles away from anything that could possibly be metal. Yeah,
mhm.
that
Yes, sir.
that's fascinating. That and sometimes like a door creaking or something. The two things. It's so strange. We're going to talk more about that, Tim, at another time. Yeah, but that's really good, useful to know, and actually, it's exciting, and it's exciting for things that we are unveiling in the future.
Mhm.
And when you talk about these metal sounds, was there any kind of rhythm to them or patterns or anything like that?
Um, I don't. I honestly didn't pay that much attention to that part because I'm just trying to figure out, because we heard coyotes start that, we heard them start yipping and yelling, and then a Bigfoot yelled. So we're like, okay, at least we know they know we're coming. So we get to walking and we hear it. And I honestly didn't pay attention to that part, but the only thing that I could describe the sound like, and in my brain, I thought, well, they've raided somebody's camp and got their pots and pans and they're beating sticks on their pots and pans. That
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
first thing that come to my mind. And then when it happened on the way out, I was like, straight back to them raiding somebody's pots and pans.
What is that all about? It's fascinating.
Yeah. You hear metal noises in the middle of the forest and you're like, what could that be? And
But
you're
it's
trying to
when
rack your brain.
but whenever you hear those noises, that's when the stuff happens. So I
Yeah.
go out, I go out 99 times out of 100, I don't hear them. But when I do hear that noise, something's going down very
Yeah.
quickly afterwards, and it doesn't make sense. But
Yeah.
it does. There must be a logic to it. I just haven't figured it out yet.
That's also been reported in our research area down here in Georgia. So
Tell us, Melissa.
I'm just I have heard like what sounds like car doors slamming, that kind of thing, but there's nobody around. And then I've heard some of the people that I research with have reported just that clinking, like he's talking about. It's like almost like a pots and pans kind of a clink
Yeah.
sound, and we're in the middle of nowhere. There's
Nowhere.
nothing around.
Nothing for
So we have
miles.
no idea what that sound would be. So, but yes, when he started talking about that, I'm like, yes, what is that noise?
Yeah.
How are they making it? So,
We've talked about it. Well, maybe we'll have some more enlightenment on that in the future. In a
yes.
forthcoming film, might have some more enlightenment on that.
It might be. Whatever shall it be?
But that's great. That's great.
Interesting. But yeah, Tim, um, have you ever experienced while you've been, or I guess a progression since the first time you've ever seen one until now? Uh, do you like have like a perception of being able to know when one's around? Um,
No, not really. And that's one thing that floored me when we was at the LBL, and you guys was like, yeah, there's something around. And on my thermal, I've got something, a heat signature that's just a little bit out from behind the tree, and I'm like, you know, I'm just going to take them with me, and they can just tell me where they're at. And but I don't. When it comes, and I have always said when they talk about the mind speak, evidently they're on FM and I'm on AM because it just don't register.
I don't think it's necessarily mind speak. I mean, I have not experienced that, but there is and then Natalie and I have talked about this. Women are especially women who are mothers, we are empathic. I mean, that just there's an empathy that exists there, but some people are more developed it more than others. So I think just that awareness sometimes, um, all of a sudden the air changes, and you just all of a sudden you're just aware that something else is there. So it's not mind speak. That's a completely different phenomenon. But just knowing that something's there. I don't know, Natalie, Jamie, would you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like that. The spidey senses are intrigued, and it's like, uh-oh, there's something there. Danger, Will Robinson, danger.
Um, there was one area that I couldn't go into for over a year. Every time I would pull up to it, even to go hunting in it or researching or whatever, I would get to where I was feeling dread and almost to the point of being sick. I don't know how to explain that. But after about a year, it finally left. And when we went in, we actually found about 5 nests. And I don't know if they was in there um, birthing, and if I'd have went in, if something bad would have happened. But I ain't never, there's never been any other place that I go that I've ever had that feeling except for that one place.
Why do you think there were nests? Could it be another animal? Why would it be a Bigfoot?
Well, they was woven together, and the size of them, they was, it wasn't just little bitty, um, a little bitty bird nest, or deer and stuff don't make nest, and bears don't make nest. Bears dig underground if they can. But these was woven together and had leaves in them, and you could see where the canopies, they was vines that had been pulled down to sort of block from being able to see up in there. And when we went up in there, there was 5 different spots that they was all under that pulled over spot.
Did you get any photographs of those things?
I don't know if I do or not, because I had my whole computer and everything wiped out about 3 years ago, maybe, yeah, about 3 years ago, and I lost 14 years of stuff.
Oh no.
Very
Um,
sorry. Well, if you do pull up anything like that, could you share us with them? Because I think that's quite important.
oh yes, sir, definitely.
Do you
Absolutely.
think they could have been squirrel nests, like very large squirrel nests?
No, because squirrels make their nest in trees.
Well, what if it was a ground squirrel?
A
It
giant,
it's under
Giant ground
a
squirrel.
giant ground squirrel.
a
That would be
six.
some
Yeah.
discovery anyway. I'd take that,
I think we
Quick
call
while
those,
you're ahead, Greg, if you get a giant ground squirrel, that'll do.
those are
Yes.
rodents of unusual size, Greg.
Yes.
I've yet to see a 600-pound ground squirrel. I ain't saying they ain't out there. I'm just saying I've not seen one yet.
Yeah. Maybe Tim, Greg needs to check into the nervous hospital with us tomorrow night for meatloaf night. I'll pick him up.
I've got an invitation, that's for sure.
That
And one thing was, it was a lot like the nest that when we got bluff charged, and we found the nest and the little bitty tracks around it. That's the reason we was thinking that it was, you know, between the woven together, it would have took fingers to wove some of that stuff together.
Mhm.
And then to find one with little bitty tracks that were about 4, maybe 5 inches long. You know, I don't know of any animal that's got little bitty human looking feet that's in the woods
adorable.
barefoot at about 4 or 5 inches
What
long.
wasn't he?
It's adorable.
You and Melissa's empathic motherly and Jamie's empathic motherly instinct are kicking in now to mother the thing in its nest.
Yes.
Giant ground squirrel.
Then I do have a question, or two questions. So you've been doing this a long time. Have you ever formed a relationship with a specific Bigfoot?
No, but I do think in a couple of the areas that I go that they've accepted me, because that especially on my buddy's property before he passed, for about a year and a half, it was yelling, screaming every time something getting thrown at us every time we went in the woods. And then after about a year and a half, when they seen that we wasn't going to bother them, and that we was actually putting feeders up, and they could come around the feeders and catch the game animals and stuff, it seemed like, you know, pretty much like they accepted us. I ain't going to say that they give me a hug or nothing, but a lot of the tense moments wasn't there no more. You didn't feel that like you was being watched all the time. And honestly, at the end, when it was time for me to go, they would come up and start throwing rocks out the hill. If they wanted me out so they could hunt or whatever, they would start by throwing rocks out about 50 yards. And then they would get closer until I got up and left. Whereas before, the rocks would come over our heads and right at us. I mean, not trying to hit us, because if they'd wanted to, they could have hit us easily, but it wouldn't have started way off out from us and worked in. It would have been right around us.
That's awesome. And then my second part was, have you ever done any sort of gifting or anything like that with Bigfoot?
I have. I don't give food, because all of my areas now are on public land, game lands, and I don't want other hunters going in there with no food. And something happened, I could care less about the hunters. I mean, I don't mean to be mean, but I don't want nothing to happen to the Bigfoots either. They're and I don't want them associating people with food. I have gifted like balls that when they bounce, they'll light up. I took a rubber chicken in a while back. One of those squeaking ones, and when I got in there, they'd tore my audio recorder apart, and so I left the rubber chicken in there. And when I come back, it had a hole been in it and thrown down. But the funny thing was, for about 5 minutes, when I put the chicken down, I was making all kind of noise with it, and I was getting on my buddy's nerves, I guess, as much as the Bigfoots. And I thought it was sort of funny. It's like, yeah, my kids ain't getting that. They just bit a hole in it and throwed it down.
I was thinking the same thing. I said, I'm thinking to myself, I bet you it's a parent going, I'm done. Kids are like, squeaky, 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 squeaky. They're done.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, that just sounds so familiar, because a lot of times when we go out into the woods, Natalie's disguising her voice through a rubber chicken. So
Right.
I
That's
know how
exactly
they
what I
feel.
do. Hmm. Yep. That's how I attract Bigfoot
Yes.
or push you away. That's what I do. You're so weird. Oh God.
Well, Tim,
So
have other than Bigfoot and the weird balls of light, have you ever seen anything else?
Um, I mean, not paranormal or cryptic. Here where we live at, I've seen the Black Panthers. We call them Panthers. They wildlife can call them whatever they want, but ever since my great grandpappy called them Panthers, we call them Panthers. But I've seen those. I've actually seen the red wolves that we have. I've actually seen them a couple of times. But as paranormal wise, not a whole lot. And Bigfoot's really the only cryptid that I've ever seen that I know of.
So you're saying that area has lots of cougars.
Yeah,
don't start, Ogles.
and
I can
I'll
see where
just
he's
leave it
going with
at
this.
that.
Don't follow his lead, Tim. Don't.
Oh,
I
do
think
it.
I hear my mama calling. I'll be right back.
Maybe the
My,
president's calling you, Tim.
my mom only raised one idiot, and I may be it, but I've got more sense than the.
Oh God. So you're talking about these Black Panthers and these other predators around. I mean, that must be a hot spot with bears and everything. Where, you're in North Carolina. Are there other areas where you investigate?
Yeah, I've actually been to Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia.
Mm.
And we've actually got some men, my buddies in Sasquatch Recon, have actually got some real good thermal pictures and videos from Virginia. A guy called up, and they was coming in beating on the side of his house at like 2:30 in the morning. It was his hunting camp, and we told him not to put food out, but he did anyway. So when the food run out, they would go into his little storage building, and if they couldn't find nothing in there, then they'd start banging on the side of his house.
Wow. Almost like, waitress, get out here.
Uh huh.
Serve us some more food. We want dessert. Wow. So where is like the hot spot for you?
Um, I guess the two main places for me is a place up here in my county called Standing Indian.
Mhm.
Um, I've had real good success there since my first run in with them, and a place called Boar Tree. That's actually where I'm going in the morning, deer hunting. And Boar Tree, I had one day where I got followed, rocks thrown, limbs breaking behind me, getting put over the trail while I was gone. I got growled at twice. When I come back down the trail, they'd stuck stuff to where it would have hit me across the bridge of the nose or the chest that I had to move out of the way that wasn't there when I went in. And like I said, I got growled at twice, and I'm like, I ain't got time to deal with you. I tried to do. I think of it as like a cat and mouse game. If I take off running like I'm scared, they're going to chase and they're going to think that I'm not coming back. If I play dead and ignorant, which I'm good at, um, then they seem like they just like, well, he ain't paying us no attention, so they just lose interest.
Well, this has been awesome. So I'm going to do a little round robin to ask some last questions. This has been so amazing, Tim, and I just love and adore you. So, Greg, what last questions do you have for Tim?
Tim, uh, do you have any uh, books or um, any way that people can see some of your research or anything that where you publish information? Like, do you have podcasts or rimcasts or uh, whatever kind of cast? How can they find you?
I actually have a TikTok channel and a YouTube channel. I put all my stuff on there, whether I find anything or not, anytime I go squatching. Um, but it's Tim Dills 13 at TikTok and YouTube. And if they want to get a hold of me, if they want us to come out and investigate, you can get a hold of me at Tim Dills 13 at Yahoo.
Awesome. All right, Adam, what last questions do you have for Tim?
I'm just going to say I look forward to going out and researching with you again, Tim. I think you're a solid guy, and I like your approach. So hopefully, I look forward to seeing you again soon, Tim. That's all I'm going to say.
Awesome. All right, Jamie, do you have any last questions for Tim?
I don't have a question. I was just going to say, since I missed you at the LBL, Tim, next time you're in Alabama, just give me a holler and I'll go out with the team and we'll squatch it up.
Awesome. And Melissa, any last questions?
I do have one last question. Tim, what's next? Do you have something big on the horizon regarding Sasquatch and Sasquatch research?
Just keep doing what we're doing. We are trying to get to where that we film more. Um, I am bad not to hit the record button, and a lot of our stuff don't get filmed. But we're trying to work on that. But it's right now we're just trying to do, like everybody else, get as much evidence as we can and get people to realize that they're there. And don't be surprised if you go to the woods and one steps out.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Well, Tim, as always, it is amazing and awesome to spend this time with you. All of your, I love listening to all of your experiences. It's just been amazing. And so I know you said where everybody can find you. Do you have any upcoming conferences that you are planning on going to?
We do. If people want to, and I should have put this a while ago, I just happened to think of it. The NCI, you put NCI and then you put North Carolina Investigates it on YouTube. we will be posting all of our upcoming events there, and the dates on them. And also, if they want to follow me on Facebook, I'm the Tim Dills with the Bigfoot Track. So they can find me on there, and we'll be posting our dates. I know we've got some coming up. I think our very next one is in January.
Very
We've got
nice.
January, February, and March, I think.
Okay. Got some busy stuff coming up. All right. So what I'd like to do is just go around so everybody can say where we can find you. So Melissa, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Bigfoot Chick Adventures, or you can find me on Instagram at Siren, spelled SIREN, BFC Bigfoot Chick, the number 1 on Instagram and
Sweet.
TikTok.
All right. And Jamie, where can everybody find you?
So I am on TikTok at jkelly123, and then I'm also on Instagram at jamie.cairo.
Nice. All right. And Adam, where can everybody find you?
Well, I have an Adam Davies Facebook page. That's Davies. But I also have Adam Davies Explorer website and also an Adam Davies YouTube channel now. And so lots of different venues. Now I haven't done TikTok so much yet. I'm not prepared to dance in my underwear for money.
Okay. Well, you were practicing early. This is the perfect platform. Come on, Jamie. Let's get him out. Get him out on the floor. All right. Mr. Moist, where can everybody find you?
Well, you can find me on a pole anytime. I'll take you to any place.
20 bucks said no.
Always
20 bucks said never do that.
Hey, $20 is $20. I'm telling you right now, $20 is $20. Well, you can find me on Facebook, Greg Ogles. You can also check out our films at relicfilmsmedia.com. And you can find my first film, The Legend of the Downy Booger, on Tubi and Roku channel and a whole bunch of other streaming platforms. You can find the second film, The Land Between the Lakes, coming out pretty soon on pretty much all of the same. And just look out for the new films coming out. The Vanished will premiere January 31st, and then we'll have another Return to the LBL, Making Contact. That one's going to be a fabulous, absolutely fabulous film, and it'll have Mr. Tim Dills here in the film.
Absolutely. And for me, when I'm not standing in line at the free clinic, you can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, and YouTube. And it's under Natalie Smearman, not Pap Smearman. That's Natalie Smearman. And also, I'll be speaking at the Vanish premiere in Paracon on January 31st in Gardendale, Alabama. Make sure that you get your tickets now. Vendor spot's still available. All right. Thank you all so much for being here with us. Until next time.
Hey, it's not so easy, is it now, bitches?
Bitches, no.